Sky as a company have pledged to remove all of their single-use plastics from business operations by the year 2020. And obviously us at Team Sky are getting fully behind Sky in doing that. And we want to try and help raise as much awareness for the project as possible.
Yeah, and I know as part of that awareness is you're going to wear a special Tour de France shirt, certainly to launch it all, with recycled plastic in it. Is that one of them beside you? Can we have a look?
That's it, exactly. So this is going to be what we're going to use on this year's Tour de France, which is the Sky Ocean Rescue jersey. And on the back we've got an orca on the back. But I think more importantly, obviously, is the message we're looking to raise through the Sky Ocean Rescue. I mean, it just is staggering to hear figures like how much plastic goes into the ocean every year. I mean, we've got 8 million tons of plastic that goes into all the seas every year, and so this is a huge campaign to try and reduce that number as much as possible.
Yeah, and the team itself and its supply chain must get through quite a lot of single-use plastic. So, and I'm thinking, let's talk about shirts again. You know, they come in plastic bags when the fans buy them. How will you address things like that? And of course, let me throw in as well, when we see you riding in these grand tours, you throw away your plastic bottles. What happens to them?
Sky, as a business, have made this pledge to try and remove all the single-use plastics by 2020, but even us at Team Sky, working with all of our partners, we're going to try and reduce as much as possible the use of single-use plastics that we have in the team. And there are obviously parts of our job as bike racers where we have to drop our bottles or certain litter in different points, but part of that process for us will be making sure there are people behind the scenes who can go along and dispose of all those plastics properly.
You are now the holder, one of the very few holders of 3 consecutive Grand Tour titles, the Tour de France, the Vuelta a España and the Giro d'Italia. How does that feel to be part of that pantheon of greats?
I mean, it's still sinking in, if I'm honest. I mean, it's just, there's no greater goal in our sport to be the current leader of all the 3 Grand Tours. So, I mean, it's just, it's an incredible feeling and an incredible position to be in.
And Chris, do you think you'll be allowed to attempt to make it 4 in a row? There is some suggestion that the organisers of the Tour de France might not let you in because of this investigation into your high levels of salbutamol in Spain last year.
Yeah, I mean, I'm obviously fully confident that there's been no wrongdoing, and we're in the middle of a process now to be able to demonstrate that I have done nothing wrong. So hopefully that will be sorted out as soon as possible, and ideally before the Tour de France.
But you must have been disheartened a little bit when we heard from cycling's governing body, the UCI, saying that there's a 50% chance that it will be sorted out by the time of the Tour de France.
Yes, well, I mean, the whole process has been laid out by the UCI, and we're following basically their guidelines in getting to the bottom of this.
I mean, just for people who haven't been following it, Chris, what exactly happened then in Spain? You've got exercise-induced asthma, you've got one of those inhalers. Did you just perhaps overuse it a bit?
No, not at all. I mean, you're allowed to take up to 16 inhalations of your inhaler a day, and I know for sure that I didn't take anywhere near 16 inhalations. Yeah, I mean, this whole process, you have to remember, was meant to have been a confidential process because the facts are not yet established. But once we get to the end of that process, we'll be able to share all that information with people, and hopefully that will give people a lot more confidence about what has and what certainly hasn't happened here.
Yeah, well, best of luck with that process. Last question, and I suppose it is quite current, and I know it's been discussed quite a lot within the world of cycling, and this is the issue, and it's not trivial, of podium girls, of those very beautiful models that stand on the podium at the end of each stage. We saw them in the Giro d'Italia. There's some discussion that the Tour de France might stop that practice. How do you feel after you've won a stage? Do you feel comfortable when that happens to you, or do you feel a little kind of, ooh, you know, what's going on here?
Quite frankly, I mean, it's not for us as bike riders to decide. I mean, different sports. I mean, you have to look at motorsport. They're really big into that kind of thing, obviously. Cycling, some events are for, some are against it, and to be honest, it's not really something I spend a lot of time thinking about. I go to the race, I do it. If they're there, they're there. If they're not, they're not. It's not. It doesn't change how I approach a race.